Hello and welcome. My name is Matt Malcolm and I am the founder and managing partner at Gallantway, a strategic e-commerce growth firm. We work with founder-led e-commerce brands to help founders probably just like yourself and marketing teams grow their businesses profitably. Today, we're going to be introducing you to a metric that we use internally to measure and optimize the performance of the businesses that we work with. It's called MER, and let's get started. So, if we take a step back, what does MER actually mean? MER means marketing efficiency ratio, and you can think of it as essentially like a ROAS across your P&L. What you do to calculate it is you take your total revenue over whatever given period, say a month, 6 months, or 12 months, and divide that by your total marketing investment. So all of your ad spend plus any agency fees, and that equals MER. So in the example here, we've got $15,000 of revenue divided by $5,000 of ad spend and agency fees or any other creative costs that might have incurred from the business during that period, and it outputs 3.0. So the question is, why do we use this and maybe not ROAS or conversion rate or AOV or some of these other metrics? And we use those other metrics, but we also need a high level metric to gauge the health of the business and essentially make sure that the business is profitable. There's also a couple of other reasons that we use it, and the two core ones are just the changing landscape around digital measurement and platform measurement, and I'll talk more about that as we go. And the second part is consumer behavior, and we'll talk more about that as we go. So why do we use MER with regards to platform measurement and maybe not just our Facebook ROAS? Well, our view is that it's becoming much more difficult with iOS, with privacy, with data and restrictions around, what data can and can't be captured by advertising platforms like Google, Facebook, TikTok, and Snap. Is that it's going to become much more difficult to accurately measure over the long term. So that's one reason. The second reason is platform bias. So we all know that Google takes account, or Google wants to take the credit for the conversion, Facebook wants to take the credit for the conversion, TikTok, Snap, Klaviyo, whatever platform you're using as a marketing platform, whether it's media buying or email marketing, each of these platforms, they're incentivized to try and say, hey, we mattered most in the path to purchase. We were the conversion, we were the interaction, we were the marketing platform or message that mattered most, and therefore we deserve most of the credit. And that's great. It's important that you look at each platform and evaluate the platform's performance within the context of the platform. But when you're looking at the total performance of a business and a brand and trying to understand, where are we at? How do we grow and answer those questions? We need to step a little bit out of that detail and look at the total business. And that's kind of why we use MER. So this platform bias and privacy is kind of one reason. The other reason is path to purchase. So if you think about it as yourself, as a consumer, you probably bought things online. Your path to purchase is very ever rarely linear. And what I mean by that is it's very rare that somebody just sees, or you just see a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad or a TikTok ad and directly convert. So you imagine that conversion happens within minutes or days. It does happen for sure within the 24-hour period or 12 months or whatever it is, but it's very ever rarely linear. And to illustrate that, what I've got here is a client of ours who are a omnichannel retailer. They're a fashion business, and we can see here just in Google Analytics, this is the multi-channel attribution, and here we've got the top kind of conversion channel. We've got somebody seeing organic and then converting via direct. We've got direct conversions. We've got paid search conversions doing all the work. We've got a bit of social. We've got a few other things, and obviously this doesn't even account email. So you can very easily understand that the path to purchase isn't linear, that it's probably going to go something along the lines of, I saw a Facebook ad, Google ad, YouTube ad, I went and did some consideration. I researched the product. Maybe I compared products. Maybe I jumped back on the website. Maybe I looked at some reviews. Maybe I signed up to an email newsletter and then converted. So for that reason, we know that the path to purchase is really linear for an e-commerce brand, and that each step along that way plays a different role. And so the real question is, how do you actually take that into account? How do you find a metric to measure it? And as I said before, it's great looking at open rates, it's great looking at AOV and conversion rates, it's great looking at ROAS, but what we need is a metric overall that sits across all of that to understand where are we at, how healthy are we, how healthy is the business, and how's performance looking. So that's why we use MER. It takes into account solving for those two things around the landscape of digital measurement, platform bias, as well as the path to purchase for consumers. So the question is then, why do I use ROAS? Why does every other agency or why does every other business use ROAS? And it's really useful when looking at the context of a channel. So we're looking at how do we optimize campaigns within Facebook's or Meta's ecosystem. Great, let's use ROAS. Let's look at, in-platform campaigns. Let's look at ad copy. Let's look at audience testing, interest testing, etc., etc., etc. Let's use it for that alongside, add to cart data, conversion rate, CPA, all the metrics you're probably already familiar with. Really good for that. But looking at ROAS as the success of your marketing efforts, not so good. Because what we actually want to do is we want to be increasing our repeat customer rate. It's a very important metric for e-commerce brands, and oftentimes your most loyal customers are your most profitable. So what's a good kind of benchmark MER? Anywhere between 4.5 to 5 is a sign of a pretty healthy business. It means that there's room to kind of scale and invest. Obviously, this doesn't account for product margin and a few other metrics, which we'll talk about in one of the next sessions. But as a ballpark, if you took your total revenue, divided it by your total marketing investment, including agency fees and any other costs, anywhere north of 4 to 4.5 is good. And really, the core question that we're looking to answer here, and this is what we'll talk about in the forecasting and analysis piece next, is that once we've established this number, we really want to know, okay, well, when does that next dollar that you invest stop making me money? So hopefully you found that useful. This is something that you can apply to your business today and get an idea of kind of where you sit. And it just gives you another way of looking at the performance of your brand and taking into account these other issues and challenges. Hopefully you found that useful, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks.